Netflix's new true crime docuseries, Tiger King, has quickly roared to heights no one ever expected, becoming the #1 most popular title over the past few weeks and gaining over 34 million US viewers in its first 10 days of streaming, according to the March 2020 Nielsen Total Audience Report. The 7-episode limited series follows Joe Exotic, the charismatic, gay, mulleted, gun-toting, polygamous country western singer and owner of an Oklahoman roadside exotic animal park packed to the gills with tigers, lions, ligers, the hybrid of the two, and many other threatened or vulnerable animal species. Each outlandish episode digs deeper into the lives, crimes, and feuds of America's notorious big cat enthusiasts, coming to an astonishing climax when Joe's plot to murder his rival, Carol Baskins, the CEO and founder of Big Cat Rescue, is revealed. While there is no contest that these characters, their personalities, and actions being depicted are polarizing to viewers, the docuseries does an excellent job portraying Joe as a boyishly crude yet sympathetic underdog, misguided but pure of heart.
Carol, it's a voice from your past. Get me the fuck out from under the septic tank.
Carol Baskin, crawl this fence and try and hurt any of my animals again? You can guarantee I'm gonna put a cap in your ass.
As a result of the profound admiration and support this persona of Joe's has created, his rampant misogyny and violence directed at Carol Baskin and Joe's engagement in indisputable animal abuse is ultimately overshadowed.
Keep rolling. Now this is the kind of movies we're gonna make here, okay?
We're introduced to Joe's humble roadside cat park, with its motley crew of employees, captivating inhabitants, and the self-proclaimed Tiger King himself. Dressed in a myriad of open-chested sequin blouses, self-promoting baseball caps, and poorly executed tattoos and piercings, Joe undoubtedly serves entertaining and playful looks that evoke a chuckle. Despite being outrageously crude in an adolescent way, he is shown to have a soft side. His tragic backstory is heart-wrenching. This leads the viewer to believe his immature nature is a product of harrowing life experiences, instead of untamed toxic masculinity and misogynistic aggression, and what saved him from himself was his love of animals and their therapeutic nature. His unyielding compassion is depicted to spread further with community cookouts and employing those in need. All of these examples show Joe to be a man who has put up many toxic emotional barriers because of the rejection he has endured. Whether or not Joe Exotic is a lovable underdog with an attitude, highlighting almost exclusively his vulnerable and charitable traits, portrayed him as essentially warm-hearted, if not sometimes reckless and unwise. The most controversial individual on the series, only second to Joe of course, is Carol Baskin, the owner and CEO of Big Cat Rescue in Tampa, Florida. Her preserve is the only one portrayed on the series to have association with the Humane Society and be accredited by the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries. Throughout the documentary, Joe continuously and obsessively instigates violently misogynistic attacks against Baskin, who addresses Congress and media against the type of animal treatment Joe and other zoos popularize, breeding and selling cubs for photo shoots, parties, and personal collections. During his online TV broadcast, Joe details his feelings about Carol, using gender-specific hate speech, defacing blow-up sex dolls in her image, and spewing death threats. Joe's hatred and obsession goes as far as to accuse Carol of killing her husband, Don Lewis, who went missing in 1997, producing a music video depicting the alleged event. The third episode, The Secret, is dedicated to rolling out circumstantial evidence of the apparent murder. The series depicts Carol as a stereotypical gold digger, or femme fatale, wanting nothing more than her much older husband's money, power, and exotic cat collection. By popularizing and justifying his narrative by ceaselessly degrading her as a woman, Joe and his fans, along with enthusiastic viewers of the documentary, reinforce the fabrication that Carol killed her husband and continue her misogynistic harassment based off of the ever-popular trope that women are just evil and out to manipulate and destroy men, particularly Joe.
Ever get the law to go in there and dig up that septic tank, I promise you he's underneath.
By framing Carol as the villain to Joe's tragic anti-hero, Joe's guiltlessness is fortified, helping viewers overlook his own indiscretions. Along with previous violations of the Animal Welfare Act standards by the USDA, the viewers see and hear stories of Joe's abuse, including taking neonatal cubs from their mother, feeding the animals expired Walmart meat, and hitting and shooting at excited cats. He has also been accused of manipulating straight men into working for and engaging in sexual relationships with him by leveraging their own growing meth addictions, and most likely committing arson on his own TV recording studio, which housed integral evidence of his misconduct, as well as a group of alligators from the zoo. Joe was ultimately arrested in 2019 for arranging Carol's murder by hiring an acquaintance to shoot her on her property, as well as 17 federal charges of animal abuse. According to Edward Grace, Assistant Director of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Office of Law Enforcement, endangered species violations are often connected with other criminal activity, such as fraud, narcotics, money laundering, and smuggling, which are still under investigation. He is now serving a 22-year sentence in federal prison. The documentary implies he was framed by his business partner, Jeff Lowe, reinforcing Joe's in the wrong place at the wrong time defense. By implementing an unfortunate framed by friends cover, we sympathize with Joe and come to believe he is innocent of the murder plot. In turn, the misogynistic lies, propaganda, and violence Joe used to discredit and belittle Carol drives the audience to believe Joe's slander and keep repeating his overused catchphrase, "That bitch, Carol Baskin."